Let's turn back the clock a bit. In the summer of 2018, a gaming company known as Innersloth released a game onto the App Store called Among Us. In October of that same year, Among Us was released onto Steam. This game stayed quite unpopular for just about 2 years, never reaching more than 1,000 players at one time until May of 2020, almost 2 years after its original release. However, with quarantine from the pandemic just ramping up, this game was set to explode onto the gaming scene. In July of 2020, Among Us had reached a peak of just under 7,000 players at one time. And by the next month, in August of 2020, they reached 70,000 players at one time. And then the nuclear explosion. In September of 2020, this game went nuclear, reaching a maximum player count of 438,524 players playing at one time. This game skyrocketed into the stratosphere for games, becoming the #1 selling game on Steam, the App Store, and the Google Play Store for a short while. From September of 2020 to December of 2020, Among Us remained at its very peak, establishing a concurrent player count during this time that still remains in the 15,000 range even today. I guarantee that 90% of us have probably all played Among Us at some point, completing tasks, calling people sus, and having a blast. This game will forever go down as one of the best murder mystery type games ever, and will always have a lasting impact in some way. However, with over 438,000 players at its peak, this begs an important question. Who is the very best? There are hundreds and hundreds of Among Us streamers, Among Us content creators, and even those that just still play the game. I would like to go ahead and mention that there are a lot of lesser known players and speedrunners that are very, very talented at this game. But today, we are going to look at who is the very best Among Us player from the bigger content creators that we all know and love, and just who is the best Among Us player in general. At the end of the day, this is a subjective matter of choice, so if somebody doesn't agree with you, no need to get hostile. But without further ado, let's dive into who is the best Among Us player of all time. I'm sure we have all seen Among Us clips from countless different streamers and YouTubers. Some of the streamers that are widely considered the best are Valkyrae, Corpse Husband, Ludwig, Moistrical, Trainwrecks TV, Hasanabe, Yeti Apocalypse, Russell, and of course, the ones that are probably some of the most popular, FiveUp and Disguised Toast. And don't even get me started on XQC.
Glad he got the thing that he wanted because he really wanted us to be the killers, dude. And the reason why I'm saying that is because he had no info on either me or Rod, right?
He got me at the top of the decontamination.
One task, pass the spawn.
Totally kidding about him being the best at Among Us, by the way. That guy totally deserved to get checkmated in 6 moves. I could keep going on because there are so many talented Among Us players. But sadly, many players are going to have to get snubbed. And while most of these players don't actively play Among Us anymore, they left a lasting impression on this game that will never go away. Among Us itself is not nearly as popular as it used to be, but with over 2 years worth of hindsight that we can look back on, I'd say it's safe to say that we can adequately assume who is the greatest Among Us player of all time. Now, some of these content creators still do play the game, of course, and all of these amazing players, both players that still play and used to play, have had plenty of slip-ups over time, just the way it is.
What? Wait.
You can't do that.
How on earth did you see me?
You can't do that.
You were not even in my vision.
So you're admitting to it.
I'm not admitting it to it, but I think I'm being framed. Actually, I am admitting it. Okay. He caught me right now. Well, listen, he was not in my vision.
Oh yeah, I actually didn't see it.
What?
Oh my.
Okay, this is abuse. I think this is what I'm being framed.
Oh my god.
There's so many strategies I'm gonna steal now.
Yes, you're a genius.
It's also worth mentioning that Carl won that $100,000 Among Us tournament that Mr. Beast did that one time. But let's be honest, we all know that Tommy kind of sold that game.
I'm gonna vote Carl. I'm gonna vote Carl.
No, don't vote Carl.
For 5 seconds, stop being stupid.
No chance. He did it. What?
Tommy, I am never talking to you again.
I think it was clear from the beginning I'm not that good at this game.
Yeti Apocalypse also won the first ever official professional Among Us tournament that was hosted by FaZe Clan, adding to the list of players that have won some form of Among Us tournament. However, after watching hours of Among Us from all of these content creators, I would like to provide my take on who I think the best Among Us player ever is. I'll go ahead and spoil this. It boils down to 4 players that are in the conversation for this crown: Toast, FiveUp, Valkyrae, and Yeti Apocalypse. To me, these are the 4 players that are the closest to perfection, the 4 players that separate themselves from the other crowd. Now, I know that may surprise people, but I will say I did my research and my homework very, very thoroughly. Train, Corpse, Ludwig, and Moist Critical all barely missed the cut, with Moist and Corpse being the 2 closest to do so. As I said, there are so many talented players, but to me, it comes down to either Valkyrae, Yeti, Toast, or FiveUp for the crown of who is the greatest player ever. These players have had countless wins as both innocent and imposter, but can also subtly control the discussions with beautiful precision. Toast has one of the best marinations ever on scissors. Yeti won the first ever organized professional tournament. FiveUp had to be nerfed by the players that play with him because he was so good, being killed first and voted off first countless times. And Valkyrae is uniquely able to sound extremely convincing, be it either crewmate or imposter. Now, I know including Valkyrae on this list might surprise some people, but she is extremely smart and very efficient with tasks, but also an excellent imposter, with a natural ability to sound and act totally innocent when she is imposter. So, who is the best out of these 4 players? Let's first break down Toast. Disguised Toast is considered by many to be the best Among Us player ever. While he does have one of the most impressive imposter wins ever under his belt, he really makes his money when he is a crewmate. Now, before I talk about his crewmate skills, I do want to talk about this video that everybody probably remembers. It's the one where he marinated scissors. I will say that was an extremely, extremely impressive win. However, it is worth noting that he did get particularly lucky that Hafu double killed at the same point that he did while they were both in 2 different locations. A little bit lucky, but he still deserves credit for having what I would say is probably the most impressive imposter win ever. Now, Toast practically invented the strategy of remembering people and where they go on the map based on colors, grouping them together and then going through in his mind vent patterns and task patterns and where he ends up seeing them.
Yellow, pink.
Can I just see you pass me, Toast?
Yellow, pink, black, purple, green.
It wasn't me.
It's in spawn. Who did I not say?
In spawn?
Okay. Orange.
Brown and orange.
Yellow. Brown and orange. Brown and orange.
Yeah.
This is in spawn, and I was hovering at the choke point. You guys believe me, right? I have 4 billion IQ. It's Daft.
All right.
4 billion IQ.
All right.
It's Daft. I'm betting it. I'm betting it all. One last ride, boys.
Oh my God,
right.
you said that 7 games ago.
He sounds very sure, and if his logic is right, he says nobody got past him. He never saw Daft go past.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Now, other players, of course, use this strategy as well, but Toast made this popular. All good Among Us players at this elite level can memorize all task and vent patterns, or at least memorize most task and vent patterns. But Toast takes it a step further and analyzes the colors of the people and where they go and where they come from. So this means that Toast can break down vent patterns, task patterns, and the colors of all the characters. Not only that, he is also able to detect changes in people's voice, while also familiarizing himself with everybody's playstyle.
Wait. Before she gets away with it, it's Ray. She did it in front of me. She didn't expect me to turn back.
Before she gets
On the
away
bottom?
with it, huh?
Ooh. Well, Ray, why isn't it you?
Because I saw Toast do it with my eyeballs. You guys can vote me off, but kill him
Ray,
first.
your playstyle, if you saw that, you would scream it
I
off
put my
the...
life on it.
No, Ray, your playstyle is that you would scream it the first chance you get. You would report it and you would scream it. You didn't do that.
But
You
I
waited for me.
Probably
You waited for me to
true.
talk.
You did it so fast.
Wires.
He said he saw.
Just the wires? Just the wires?
Sheeples.
This makes him such a feared crewmate, resulting in him getting killed first a lot. He is solid, and not just solid, he is almost perfect on every aspect of being a crewmate. His analyzation skills and his patience and his deductive skills make him such a feared crewmate. His imposter play is really solid too. He's able to convince people left and right due to his accuracy from being a crewmate. I would say that being a crewmate is his strong suit, and it's even so strong that it helps his imposter play. In fact, I think he's the only Among Us player, but I would say he's at least the most notable Among Us player, that has such an influence as a crewmate that it helps him tremendously when he's an imposter. He is a feared imposter, and a death warrant to imposters when he's a crewmate. And it takes an extremely perfect set of circumstances for him to get fooled or to get marinated or to slip up. Toast boasts an extremely good case for the greatest Among Us player ever. Next, let's break down one of the people he plays with the most, Valkyrae. Now, like I said, Valkyrae might be a surprise on this list, and she may be considered as the weakest of these four. But she herself has a very good case for being the greatest Among Us player ever. You see, what makes Valkyrae so good isn't anything specific to being a crewmate or imposter. She is just extremely good at, well, talking. She almost never changes how she talks, and while many players don't, Ray does it to the extreme effect, due to her natural volume that she speaks at. You see, the thing about Toast, FiveUp, and Yeti that they all have in common is that they have naturally quieter voices than Ray. However, Ray has a naturally louder voice, a voice that is very convincing when she's crewmate, but also very deceiving when she is imposter. Players that are known for having a loud voice can be very influential in meetings, and she is probably one of the most bubbly and extroverted streamers out there anyway, and this translates to Among Us. She laughs a lot when she plays, and that's because of her personality, but this helps her tremendously when she is imposter, because when she laughs as a crewmate, you don't know if she's doing it because she's a crewmate, but she also laughs as imposter. Another thing that Ray has that other players don't necessarily have is she plays a lot, or played, in a very, very strong lobby, meaning she played with people like Toast, Ludwig, and Corpse a lot. Lots of the female streamers that streamed Among Us aren't necessarily as passionate or loud or into Among Us as some of the guys are. Some of the streamers, such as Lily or Tina or Daff or Leslie, some of the streamers like that just aren't as passionate about the game, aren't as deductive as some of the people, and just don't take it as seriously, which is totally fine. There is nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Ray is the exception to this group, however, being a very, very strong-spoken and a very, very, very smart player. She's also very comfortable to be around. Her natural personality makes her be able to be trusted more so than other players. Her natural ability to mask her voice, coupled with her bubbly personality and very, very solid deductive skills, Ray boasts a nice case for the greatest Among Us player of all time. Next is FiveUp. FiveUp is seen as the biggest rival to Toast by many as who the greatest Among Us player is. FiveUp has a quieter voice, even less loud than Toast. He never, ever, even slightly, wavers when he is matched with a very difficult situation, and is probably the best imposter player on this list. He is fascinatingly patient, probably the most patient Among Us killer ever. FiveUp constantly chooses not to kill in situations that Ray, for instance, would definitely jump at. And FiveUp instead uses these situations to gain trust here and there. He always fakes lots of tasks, more so than any player on this list, and he is a very swift killer. He almost never hesitates or stops before or after he kills, and pretty much instantly crafts a story the second he kills somebody. He is the best imposter player in my opinion, and he has perfected looking, acting, and sounding like a crewmate when he is imposter. His patience, his efficiency, and voice calmness make him an almost impossible imposter to find out. He is, of course, a very solid crewmate as well, but he is the total opposite of Toast in that imposter games are where FiveUp makes his money, and crewmate games are where Toast makes his money. And not to mention, he also came second in the FaZe Clan Among Us tournament. His resume is extremely similar to Toast, just flip-flopped in the opposite way. With deadly imposter skills and very solid deductive skills, FiveUp has an extremely convincing case as the greatest Among Us player ever. And lastly, we have Yeti. After this video, I encourage everyone to go watch his highlights of the $25,000 tournament that he won that FaZe Clan hosted. What he did in that tournament is probably the most dominant showing of any Among Us player I have ever seen. Yeti truly does not have a stronger suit between imposter and crewmate. He is phenomenal at both. Now, he may prefer crewmate over imposter, but as someone who has watched hours of his content while making this video, his imposter skills are equally as good. Yeti is just like Toast and FiveUp in that he is impeccable at making up a lie on the fly, and without his voice wavering or shaking. But he is even more dominant in the discussion process. You see, Toast and FiveUp are usually quieter during meetings. Not necessarily silent, just not as dominant. They don't control the conversation or dominate the conversation. Toast can be loud every now and then, but him and FiveUp are typically on that same level. Yeti, however, is dominant without yelling or bullying, something that XQC miserably fails at. And he is the second best Among Us player behind Toast at grouping colors together and using process of elimination. He is very, very dominant in meetings, always getting his point across, but yet he does it in a calm, efficient manner. Yeti Apocalypse is what XQC could only dream of being. A genuinely nice guy who's extremely intelligent and dominant in the meetings without talking over other people and being an overall miserable person to play with. His imposter games mirror his crewmate games to a T, and for players that you can't tell if their behavior is sus based on their role, that is a huge thing. Yeti dominated that Among Us tournament, getting almost nothing wrong and many times being the crewmate that won the game for them. He had an extremely amazing oust on FiveUp, thinking through it out loud and saving what could have been a huge win for FiveUp. Yeti is an all-around amazing player, being the best balanced player between imposter and crewmate. Yeti himself boasts an extremely intriguing case to be the best Among Us player ever. So, 4 players, the best of the best. Many players barely missed the cut as well, and if you wanted to argue that Train, Ludwig, Corpse, or Moist Critical were the best, I would not argue with you. But only one can be the best. So who is it? Is it the best imposter player in FiveUp? The best crewmate player in Toast? The best all-around player in Yeti? Or the most extroverted and talkative player of this elite level in Valkyrae? Well, first I'll say this. This wasn't an easy choice. The margin between these 4 players is ever so thin. And only one of them could be the best. Any one of these 4 players could beat the other on any given day. And that's what makes them so talented. So, who is the greatest Among Us player of all time? In my opinion, the greatest Among Us player of all time is Disguised Toast. The margin here is razor thin, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to Toast on this one. Toast is the best crewmate in the game in my opinion, due to his extreme memory, perfect task route memorization, and how often he is correct. His imposter play is only one notch below FiveUp's, and I believe that while FiveUp and Toast's crewmate play is close, FiveUp's crewmate play compared to Toast's is a little bit lower than Toast's imposter play compared to FiveUp's. Being able to single-handedly win so many games for the crewmates and then turn around and use that influence to help weasel out of tough imposter situations is something that no other player has. Toast has the most influence of any Among Us player ever on a game-by-game basis. And while he isn't the most talkative during the meetings like Ray or Yeti is, his opinion always commands attention. Like I said, his influence is just phenomenal. It's unlike any other. Being able to get out of obvious situations where he is obviously the imposter just because he's such an accurate crewmate, and people believe him. They follow him like a sheep, as Ray said in one of their games one time. Toast narrowly edges out FiveUp for this one, with Yeti being an extremely close second. I believe that Toast is the only true 10 out of 10 Among Us player, with FiveUp being a 9.8 out of 10 and Yeti being a 9.6 out of 10. Ray comes in at a very, very solid 9.2 out of 10, and many other players on this list are very, very, very close behind Ray. All of these players are so talented, and Among Us would not nearly be the same if these four did not play the game. Go check out all of their channels, link to their channels in the description of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I just want to quickly say I am very sorry about the delay in which it took me to publish my most recent video, my Age of Ultron video. I dealt with a nasty little fight with copyright, but I got it fixed and it's all good and up like normal. If you guys liked, please do subscribe. We are getting somewhere fast, and I really, really, really would like it if you guys joined the family and joined along for the ride. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and if you appreciate it, please do consider subscribing. With all that being said, have a great day.